Hey, Starling. So, welcome back to this speaker series for the 25th FAA Astrology Conference here in Australia. Today, we have Rob Bailey joining us, and he will be giving us three lectures. So, hi, Rob. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Hey, Vanessa, thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to talk about, my lectures and just the conference in general. Yeah.
Me too. So before we get to that, let's have a quick chat about the conference. It is on this January 16 to 20, 2025. Heads up, the ticket booth closes end of November. So that's November 30. The tickets are for in real life only. You must attend. It's not being streamed, and there's no day passes. It's the whole immersive experience. It's held in the Novotel Hotel at the Gold Coast. So we'll have aircon because it's so hot in January for our international friends, in case you didn't realize. And that's why they need to organize everything a bit earlier. So ticket booth closes November 30. Get in there. We've got an amazing selection of astrologers and topics. You can learn more about our speakers, including Rob and myself, at faainc.org.au. And you can book your tickets there. You can see the whole schedule, which is already up, and start to plan not just your trip, but your time at the conference and before and after if you're doing some touring. So we'd love to see you there and meet you. Let's look at what Rob is going to be bringing us at the conference. So, Rob, you've got three talks. Let's start with number one, which is practicing traditional astrology in the 21st century, ethics and authenticity. Tell us about it.
Yeah, this is a lecture I was excited to share because something I've been reflecting on over the years, practicing traditional astrology, doing consultations and horary readings for people is that uh, traditional astrology has come a long way in terms of the techniques, and we've done a lot of great work researching and digging back into these old ancient texts and medieval texts and reviving the material over the last, say 20 or 30 years. But what there hasn't been so much focus on is how to actually bring this material to people in the modern world and how to adapt that material to fit the modern audience and to actually get good use out of it as well for the needs and interests of people in the 21st century. Um, and another thing that I've been thinking about a lot for many years is how to practice traditional astrology authentically, but also ethically. And I think balancing those two um, goals of authenticity and ethics is going to be at the heart of this lecture. I'll be sharing some ideas around, how to stay true to the methods and to some extent the philosophy behind traditional astrology, but also, some of the challenges that come up with presenting that material to people today and how to navigate all of that in an ethical way so that we can do the best job we can to help the client with their needs, serve their highest interests, um, and and not sort of freak them out with negative, freaky predictions too much, and just try and put their well-being first. So that's the goal of that lecture, and I'll be talking about some experiences that I've had and sharing some of those takeaways with the audience. So that's the idea with that one.
That sounds very interesting. There's definitely a lot of interpreting that needs to be updated from that traditional style. So I think
Absolutely.
it'd be very useful and a lot of food for thought for people as well. Talk two, locating lost pets with horary astrology. Tell me about how that started.
Yeah, this is a fun one. I've been looking forward to presenting this one because I think it's going to be a bit more light and a bit more enjoyable for the audience, a bit less heavy perhaps in that first lecture. Over the years, I've had a lot of clients come to me asking for help finding their lost pets using horary astrology. Um, it all started when I posted a blog post about a success I had with locating a lost cat with horary astrology that I thought was a really striking example. So I wrote a blog post about that. And what I found is that because of that blog post, a lot of people found my website when they were in distress because their cat or dog had escaped, and and they wanted to find an astrologer that could help them locate their pet. So they came to me because of that blog post. And so I've had a lot of experience of identifying, the location of lost pets using horary astrology, and had a surprising amount of success with it. So it's kind of an area of specialty for me. So in this lecture, I'll be presenting half a dozen example charts for lost pets and some of the techniques that I've used to find where these pets are and help people find them. So it'll be some some heartwarming stories of people finding their lost pets, one or two less happy examples, but overall, I think it should be fun. I think people will learn a lot and perhaps learn some things that they can use in their own practice if their pets go missing, or if someone close to them has their pets go missing, they can use these techniques to find them.
That sounds great. And I do love a niche topic. So that's fantastic. You're bringing that experience with you. Let's look at talk number 3. So your final talk is Ancient Synastry, Reconstructing the Original System of Astrology. Did I say that correctly? Yes.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So synastry, obviously, for people who don't know, is the art of comparing two people's birth charts to assess relationship potential. And it's something that people use very often today. It's very popular, and a lot of popular books written about relationship astrology. So it's a topic that people are generally interested in. But what people may not know is that subject actually has this very long history, going back 2,000 years to the very beginning, origins of horoscopic astrology. And I've long been interested in, where does this tradition of synastry come from? And, how far back does it go? And what do the really old texts have to say about relationship astrology? And it's an area of traditional astrology that's not been so much explored recently, partly because there's no actual surviving textbook from, 2,000 years ago that's, called How to Do Synastry or something like that. Those texts don't exist, or if they did exist, they haven't survived. So all we've got is these sort of scattered references here and there in different surviving texts talking about how to compare people's birth charts for relationships. And what I've done is I've spent years kind of searching for these fragments, these fragmentary mentions of synastry, compiling them all, and then trying to synthesize those sort of brief, fleeting mentions into a system that you can use. So that's what I'm going to be presenting in that lecture. It's my attempt to reconstruct the original system of synastry, and from there we can learn a little bit more about how people way back then thought about synastry, and perhaps get to the heart of what synastry is really all about by examining the history of it and those ancient practices.
That sounds fascinating. I think I might need to attend that one. Marking off where I'm going, what I'm doing. So what is your special, you've clearly got a special interest in this to do that much effort. That's a lot. Why?
Well, relationship astrology is something that I fell in love with when I did my FAA diploma, because synastry is one of the subject areas that you have to show some degree of competency in. And, in the process of building up my skills in that area, I sort of fell in love with the subject, and I found it really fascinating and useful tool. And, I'm a kind of a bookish person. So whenever I was reading old books about astrology, I would always underline, when I saw a reference to synastry, I would sort of note that, like underline it with a pencil or something,
Yeah.
Because I thought it was interesting, because you see that you come across them from time to time. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm going to note that down. And when I realized there is this lack of complete understanding of how ancient people practice synastry, I thought, well, this is an area that I'm really fascinated in. I've got this background in it, and I've got a bit of a head start in terms of doing that research just for my own interests. So it's something that's been rattling around in the back of my head for a while, is trying to actually put all these little pieces together, and like pieces of the puzzle, so that I can present this work. I think it's an area that, like I said, as you responded, you're kind of interested in it. It's something that I think gets people lighted up, because everyone wants to compare their charts to other people's charts. It's something that, it's a very popular use of astrology. I remember when I first got into it, I was looking up the charts of different people I was interested in having a relationship with, and trying to see whether it would work out or not. So bringing that historical lens to it, I think will really illuminate the subject for people, because the research I've done shows that there's a really simple set of techniques that anyone can use at the heart of synastry, and you can use that material to kind of, I guess, focus on what's most important, and really get to the core of what synastry is all about.
That sounds great, and you're going to have to come to the talk live to find out what those techniques are. So this is you're debuting this one here.
That's right. Well, I did do a little bit of a preview of this talk for the the Victorian Astrology Association.
Okay, tell
But this will be a updated version of that talk. And it'll be really focused on teaching the techniques and using some example charts to sort of demonstrate how it works. So almost like a mini workshop where you come away with a set of skills and like a method for synastry that I can present to you that you can then build upon, and you can incorporate more modern techniques with the ancient approach that I'll be teaching.
that.
So it's going to be very practical. Yeah.
That sounds awesome. And overall, just to wrap up, like where are you coming from with astrology? And I mean, why these three talks? I think you've pretty much answered that question. So if there's anything more, add that. But yeah, where are you coming from with astrology, like your general MO?
Yeah, sure. I'm a traditional astrologer, if you can't tell, but what I am really interested in, and the thing that keeps me fired up and excited about astrology, is taking those traditional techniques and then working with them and learning how to incorporate those techniques into a modern astrology practice, building upon the ancient material with modern sensibility and importantly, counseling skills, so that we can help clients with their needs and put their well-being first, and try not to do any harm,
Yeah.
and be sort of ethical and responsible with the way we practice traditional astrology. So my specialty area is horary astrology, which is the art of answering questions using astrology. It's kind of like a divination form of astrology.
Mm.
I'm teaching a course on horary with the famous American astrologer Chris Brennan. So we're collaborating on that course. So horary really is my specialty area, but I have like a deep love for the history of astrology too. So that's where the interest in synastry and the roots of synastry kind of comes from as well. So
That sounds very interesting. And again, we've got that specialist approach to this as well with experience, which is really what it's all about, isn't it? The
absolutely.
research and the experience, the practice. So looking forward to that. Thank you so much for dropping by and sharing your talks and a little bit about yourself and your practice with us. And everyone else, please come and join us at the conference, January 16 to 20, 2025. Go to faainc.org.au and you can book. Like I said, you can check out the speakers, topics, bios, the whole schedule's up. Have a look at where it will be at the Novotel, right near the beach in Surfers Paradise. So we really look forward to sharing this with you, extending our networks and geeking out over, obviously, astrology, because we are quite the bookish types, I know. So lots of knowledge to share. Thank you so much, and we'll see you there. I'll just stop the recording.